Hello trainers, Ganeto here, and I'm speaking to you from Malta. I'm over here for a little bit of holidays, for a little bit of vacation, and speaking of holidays, we're having some action with Holiday Cup, so let's see how we can do here. Before we start with the commentating here, I want to say first that I have a crappy audio. I have almost a zero background here because I am not at home, I'm in Malta, so I do not have my resources available. So with that said, now we're gonna showcase today 4 teams around Vigoroth so that you can have a better understanding of these teams, and of course how to use Vigoroth towards your advantage from PvPoke. As you can see, it is ranking rank 1, so you are not gonna regret watching this video till the end. So starting off with the first team, and we're having the Pancake up in front. This Pokemon is pretty troublesome for a lot of teams, and it happens to finish off something like an electric type as well. However, against Lantern it is still gonna perform kinda evenly because of that water typing that the Lantern is having, and of course the Surfs, and especially if they run the move Water Gun, you're gonna be in a kind of a pickle. However, if they run Water Gun, you're gonna have a much safer environment for your Mandibuzz, which can always be kinda good for you. So at the back for this team, we're gonna use Vigoroth as a safe switch, having Mandibuzz as our closer. So with Vigoroth as the safe switch here, you most probably have nothing to worry about other than something like a Lantern, something like a Charizard, but still you have a lot to offer even with this Pokemon as a safe switch for this exact team, because I believe that anything else can be handled by your Pancake and Mandibuzz, so the synergy is there. It's only up to you to face that opposing side and absolutely emerge victorious even against the most tough scenario ever on that Holiday Cup for Great League. Let's head now into the next one, as we're having Vigoroth being turned from a safe switch into a leader for the next team showcase. So Vigoroth as a leader has nothing to worry about, so that's why you do not need a crazy safe switch for this team, especially when you have something in Altaria and of course Togedemaru at the back, 2 Pokemon that can pretty much cover the entire meta, so you can have kind of a very safe environment for your Vigoroth and especially win that lead scenario. Most probably you're gonna win the entire match. This team is kinda unsafe if you lose the lead, but still when you win it, you're gonna see that in no time you can get the upper hand over your opponents. So with having a Togedemaru on your team, you're gonna see that in no time you can make quick work of your opponent's shields, especially with the back-to-back wild charges. You still have a Stinger like I do over here, but obviously you can always replace it with a Gyro Ball because it is gonna help you a lot more against something like an Aurorus, something like an Ice type and Frostlass. So that's why you can use this Pokemon with a different moveset. Just keep in mind that you definitely need to keep a wild charge around. As a core breaker now, we have Palossand here because with a new Rock Slide being added to Vigoroth, and you need to use this move on your Vigoroth, do not prove me wrong here, you're gonna be kinda struggling against ground types, especially when they are resisting your normal typing. And one of these Pokemon is of course Golurk and another one is Palossand. So with that said, the ground typing will also not be appreciated by your Togedemaru, so keep that in mind when you're playing a team like this. Time to showcase now team number 3, and we're using a Charizard up in front. So Charizard is gonna be pretty good for the entire meta, and that's mainly because of its flying type, able to resist those counters from Vigoroth, and that's why you definitely need it on your team. However, whenever you're using Charizard, you already know from Open Great League that this Pokemon will struggle against water types, and especially Lantern being an electric type as well. However, I figured out that the bigger core breaker of this team happens to be something like a Jellicent, because it resists by a lot those counters and the body slams from your backline as well. So that's why you need to take note of Jellicent, especially when it carries the fast attack of Bubble. So at the back now we're having a double normal. This team is extremely safe, even against Lantern you have a lot of play as you can see here. However, this is not gonna turn into a very good battle overall, but it's gonna be kinda close against horrible and terrible in between matchups as well. So over here now Vigoroth is just gonna be able to do a lot of solid work on the safe sweet spot, and then when that normal type is getting out of the way, out of the picture, then you still have double, which can still beat the opposing side's Vigoroth as well, and that is pretty neat. Also, what I like about double is that it can carry the move wild charge and payback to surprise your opponent, but of course I think that payback is gonna help you much more here, able to do more solid damage against those ghost types, and you might actually need that, especially when you're facing something like a Jellicent. Of course you can get your hands on a wild charge, but feel free to face those consequences because you're gonna be kinda stuck sometimes with this team when you're not having a payback at all. Now we're heading into the final one, trainers, and you can already see a team that is kinda familiar. I showcased this team on the previous video as well, and I think that this is the best team ever that you can use for Holiday Cup. You have a Lantern up in front, you have a Skarmory at the back with a new updated Steel Wing, and of course Vigoroth as your safe switch. The only core breaker that I could found is obviously gonna be something like the Pancake and of course Unova Stunfisk, but still you can always rely on your Lantern having Water Gun or your Vigoroth to finish off this Pokemon eventually. Of course your Skarmory will struggle a lot up against the Pancake, but still I think that the Lantern up in front can somehow destroy it down if you have Surf and Water Gun ready to go. So with that said, I also think that this team is gonna rely a lot on those charge attacks, and especially when we're talking about the closing part with your Brave Birds and of course the new Steel Wing that was added to Skarmory this season. Able to get there not fairly fast but still at a decent pace, and of course you always can carry the move Flash Cannon, but for this meta not so much. I think that Brave Bird is gonna help you much more, and of course gonna be kinda meta relevant against most neutral threats, especially something a Vigoroth of your opponent. This is a Vigoroth video after all, but we end up talking about other stuff. The main reason for that is because Vigoroth is gonna be super neutral and you're gonna see it pretty much everywhere in the meta. With that said, I just want to say a huge thank you to every single one of you that they happen to support my channel throughout all those years, and pretty much lately that we're struggling a lot. So this team I think is gonna help you a lot, the final one, but the other three have also some meta relevance, so feel free to check them out when that Holiday Cup will come up against you. Thank you for watching, trainers, and for staying till the end. Just be sure to leave a huge like before you go, subscribe to the channel if you already haven't, and the next time that we're gonna talk throughout my videos, I'm gonna be back with a regular face cam and of course everything else with the background, with the thumbnails, so do not worry about that. Till then, farewell from Malta.